Hi crafty friends, it's Tracy Hines, aka Nanner BaNanner, and I wanted to hop on and show you some progress on my Gooseberry Patch Christmas journals. I got them all taken apart. I should have hopped on. I wanted to show you how I'm doing these, because when I was looking on YouTube, I only found one person that has made Christmas journals out of these and shared how they did it, and that was Turquoise Dreaming. So definitely go check out her video. Basically it comes with a spiral type binding, and they're easy to pull off. You just take it and kind of pull and they just pop out. So then you're left with the pages and the book binding there. That's the only part you won't actually physically see me doing. The first one I cut the little pieces off, and that worked too, and it came out real easy, but I found just pulling on them popped them out too. So here's one of them in the spine, and I'm going to keep my inside pages as is. I don't mind that. Turquoise Dreaming, I noticed she did like scrapbook paper inserts, so I guess that would be an option as well. But I'm not making these recipe journals. These are going to be true like Christmas journals where you could do like December dailies, that sort of thing. That's how I use my Christmas journals. I journal every day leading up to Christmas, and I actually start the weekend of Thanksgiving because that's I like to do. Start mine then and make little notes and stuff. But while I'm showing you these, I just want to remind everybody, because we're all at different stages in our lives, and our families are at different stages, you know, when you're younger and you're just having kids, or shortly after having kids, your Christmases are all about your kids and family and all of that. But then sometimes as you get older and your families have moved away or they're busy, maybe you don't get to see them at the holidays, maybe you do, but it changes. So just be aware that you can still get a Christmas journal and write down like your favorite Christmas memories and things you remember doing during this time of the year, or create a bucket list of where you're at in your life now, things you'd like to do in the month of December. I know for me, my fall bucket list, one of the things I've added to it recently is I was watching a YouTube channel where a YouTuber does a full moon hike. So basically when there's a full moon, which the next one's going to be November the 5th where I live, I don't know if that's the same everywhere or not, I'm going to go for a little hike. And once the full moon goes up, and I think that'll be fun. I've never done it before. It doesn't cost anything. Get you out in nature. Just something fun to do. You will hear me taking lots of water breaks. I've been struggling with having a cough and a scratchiness in my throat, so hopefully you don't mind. Also, if I was to have a coughing fit, I'm going to pause the video, get myself under control, and then come back. So let me know what you think of these journals. These are all going to be available for sale. I'm going to make this one with you tonight, just this part of it where we're adding the curved spine, the fabric, and the trim. So let me move these out of the way. I just wanted to share them with you. I love them all. I don't know that I can pick a favorite. There'll be a total of 5 of these that I'm making. And then I've got the pink journal that's basically, I've got the signatures and everything ready to sew in, but I wait and do that towards the end. And there's a few more journals I'm wanting to make, assuming I have time, but I want to get a big start on these this week and see where I get. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our file folder down to make the curved spine, and I'll explain what I do. My spine is actually 2.5 inches. I like that size. It allows for depending on how big your signatures are page-wise, I mean, technically, if you don't put a lot of pages in your signature, you could do 4 signatures, but I typically do 2 or 3. But I'm going to definitely do 3 on these and keep my pages down to make sure that it has a nice flow from the standpoint on the inside. Okay, so I've already took measurements. I've already made 4 of these. I already know what size. I need this to be 9 1/4 inches tall. So I'm just cutting my file folder down to that 9 1/4 inches. I do save all my scrap pieces. I've got some really cute embellishments coming this week, guys. One of them, I'll be using these offcuts to make a flip that goes over the page using vintage Christmas pages and decorating them up. I'm excited about that. Okay, and then I go ahead and trim off this edge real quick. And I didn't bring my wastebasket over. Oh my goodness, that's aggravating. I'll just set my trash off to the side. Okay, and then I make this, so if I want a 2.5 inch spine, I'm going to make this 3.5 inches because I have a 1/2 inch on each edge that I glue to the, so a 1/2 inch goes here on each side. And I do double this up. It is, I use 2 of these to get the thickness I want. And I'll show you what comes next, because I make my curved spines different than some of the tutorials I have seen. The way I make mine, you could make them up ahead of time, and that way they're all ready to go for when you want to use a curved spine. Now, that was a cutting blade. I'm getting ready to add a scoring blade. If you're wondering about my trimmer here, it is a Creative Memories trimmer. They still have them on their website if you wanted to get one for yourself. I just wanted to make you aware that this trimmer has lots of neat features. So these are self-sharpening blades. You can get, I believe, up to 12 different blades. I've only got 4, and they're the ones that I use the most. One's a cutting blade, a scoring blade, a perforation blade, and then a stamp edge. But they've got all kinds of different edges and stuff like that. Definitely recommend this tool. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So I made this 3.5, but I'm going to put it to my 3 inch mark and score it. That gives me my 1/2 inch edge. And then I do the same thing on this side. Take it to the 3 inch mark, score. Now I've got 2 1/2 inch foldable edges. And as you see, like, this will go on the edge of the book. But the next step is what makes my spine super easy to curve. And I just love it that I've got this tool that makes this easy for me. But if you have a scoreboard, it will work just as well. Again, I'm putting in my 1/2 inch score line, and then I'm moving my page over by a 1/4 inch each time. This allows me to get a really nice fold line on that curved spine without having to manhandle it or manipulate it too much. It just automatically goes into a beautiful curve. And I do that all the way down until I'm almost to the other side. I flip it here once I get so far and do the 1/2 inch, and then I think I end up having like one more 1/4 inch score mark to make. So when I get to here, I flip it around. I take it back to the 3 inch mark to get my 1/2 inch score, and then I'm ready to go in 1/4 of an inch further, and this will be my last score line that I need to do. Now we're all done with the trimmer. I'm going to set that off to the side. I like to go ahead and fold my 1/2 inch part in. That way I've got a good visual of what I'm going to be doing here. And as you can see, this just automatically has a nice little curve to it from where we've done the scoring. Next step is I glue this together. Let me get my glue bottle that I just recently opened. That way I'm not fighting with the glue bottles on my video. And hopefully I don't throw any glue bottles. If you guys didn't catch my last embellishment video where I was making the holly berry tags, I didn't do it on purpose, but I threw my glue across the room during videoing. I don't even know how it happened. And then Luke started barking like a wild man. It's my little dog. So he's laying down right now, so I think we're safe tonight. So I just glued within that middle part. I did not glue these 1/2 inch parts. I do kind of like fold them back out, make sure everything's lined up nice and neat, give it a good press. I normally will use the PVA bookmaker glue for this part, but for the purposes of the video, I am going to use my Fabri-Tac because it dries quickly and lets me keep moving on to the next step without delay. All right. Let's see here. I always put my score, the board that I scored, to the inside. So that's going to be the inside of the spine. And now I am ready to place glue on these 2 edges here. And then put my book up against those. All right. Okay, there's that. And there is that. Let's give those a few minutes there to get attached and glued down. All right, so anyone that purchased one of my journals from my D-Stash journal sale, thank you so much. I didn't know what type of response I would get. I'm working on getting my craft room de-stashed, and these were journals, like one signature journals that I usually make for the craft show I do in November, because that in my area is what sells at a craft show because of the price point. But it's not the type of journals I guess you would say I enjoy making. And I had those left over from the year prior, and there were some from where I'd made journals recently as well that I went ahead and included. But thank you so much for supporting me. That meant the world to me, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to bring some more kind of like those blowout cells. Not every journal would I be able to do that with, just because there is cost involved in making journals, but I'd love to do that more often. I think it makes it fun for everybody to be able to get a journal without it costing too much. And but definitely, you know, sometimes that's not a possibility. So I'm really excited about I did a little bit of thrift shopping on my lunch hour this week, and I did not film what I purchased because I want to keep it a surprise. I found some books at my favorite thrift store that, one, I had never seen, didn't know they existed. And I think anyone, let's say, who is 30 or older will, the topic or the content will recognize these books, and they'll be kind of nostalgic for them. And I am going to make some journals, probably not on film. I'm just going to make them on the side and then sell them once they're done. And I'm really excited about these journals because they are, like I said, they were like, when I found them, they immediately brought back like memories. Just really excited to make journals out of these. And I've got to figure out how I'm going to make the journals because they're not hardback books and they're not real big, but they'll be neat. So that's something that will be coming on the side in the future. I don't know when I'll get them all done, but definitely excited about that. I like making journals that I've never seen before, and I did a deep dive, like I tried to go down a rabbit hole, but I didn't see where anyone on YouTube has ever used these books to make junk journals. So I think everybody will like them though when they're done. Can't wait to start working on them and get them done. And they're journals that could be used any time of year too. That's the other thing that I think will be neat about these. All right. So if I was using the PVA glue, it takes a little, like typically I make my curved spine and I don't attach it yet. I let it sit overnight. By using the Fabri-Tac, I'm able to go ahead and get it attached, and I'm just making sure, giving it a few minutes here for the adhesion to take effect and make a good connection. While that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and get our material prepped here. Now I don't have a long enough piece to like go all the way around. As you can see, I'm short, so what I will have to do is cut two pieces of this. One will go down the center on the inside, and then these will fold and wrap around. They'll look just fine. You'll never know that it's not all one piece, especially once the signatures get sewed in. And let's go ahead and get this cut. Don't know that I'm going to be able to rip this. That's my preferred way when I'm doing journals, is to just rip it. But I'm not certain that is really an option on this one. So I'm going to try and cut it as straight as possible here. Let's see if it'll rip. I've got enough here I can maybe play with it if it does. Because that's definitely the easier way to do that. So that worked, yay. All right. Make sure I've not got it too big. That'll be just fine. Let me cut another piece real quick. All right. I always like to have some material left because the next step after I get these made, and I've shown in my last live how I do the fabric ties. So I'll use some leftovers of all the materials that I use for these spines and make fabric ties for these journals as well for the closure. All right, so let me go ahead and get this cut. Back to the inside. Of all the covers, this one is probably my not as of a favorite as some of the others, but when I was purchasing these and picking these off of eBay, I had a friend with me and they're like, oh, I think you should go ahead and do like this one because it's got a real cozy vibe. So we've got the little red truck, which is popular. And we've got like the hot chocolate and the gingerbread man. And then, of course, a snowman and Santa. These three are probably my favorites. And then this would be a close runner-up. And like I said, this one I'm doing now is not as much of a favorite of a cover, but my friend thought it would be the one if she purchased one she would want. So it just goes to show everybody has different taste when it comes to this stuff, and that's okay. All right, let me put some glue down and get this put on. And I'm just going to be using, let me make sure this is the right width all the way around so I don't run into any issues when I bring this around. Nope, it's the same width, perfect. Okay. So I could make this actually a little bit smaller if I wanted. Boy, that would be cutting it close. Do I want to do that or not? I think we'll leave it like that. All right. Let's go ahead and get our glue down. I do, whether I'm using PVA glue or this Fabri-Tac, I like to spread my glue out. That way I don't have any glue bleeding through the fabric. This is thick fabric, so it would probably be okay either way, but it's not a whole lot more effort to do this, and I think the results show. All right. Let's get this on here. Down a little bit. All right, now I'm going to flip it over and get ready to do the spine on this side. Again, the PVA glue works really good for this, but you do have to kind of like let it set in between steps. That's the only reason I'm using Fabri-Tac. Normally I'd use the PVA glue just because it's cheaper than Fabri-Tac and it does a great job. But for the purposes of filming, this is probably my best way to go. And I do want to get a little bit of glue over here on this edge because the material does go past ever so slightly. You do have to move fast when using Fabri-Tac because it dries very quickly. I feel like you have a little bit more time with the PVA glue. Not much, but a little bit. All right. Let's go ahead and get that down. Flip it over. I do like to pink the ends real quick. That way it has a pretty edge there. And it looks like I didn't get that lined up perfectly, so that's a little disappointing. Let's see here. But we will be putting trim on, and that will hide that little bit of offset of the fabric. Oh, the glue is sticking to my fingers. let's get the glue down. And on this round, I will be putting the glue on the actual fabric because that way I know exactly how far I'm going with it. Okay, do the same thing down here. All right, let's put a little extra glue there. Okay, and now we are ready to put our trim on. Find my green. I think I decided that's what I was going to go with. Okay. I thought I cut 2 pieces. Did I not get that taken care of? Huh. Yeah, I thought I did. Is this not? Interesting. Yep, that is definitely going to be a little bit short. What did I do with my trim? Okay. Don't think I want to do the red. Maybe. I don't think so. I was really planning on this green, I think. That's what I was originally planning on. Let's see what else we've got that might work. This is not perfect, but it's not bad. Not my favorite. I really like the rickrack the best. Did I cut 2 of these? I don't think I had planned on using the red, but maybe I was. Interesting. Look here. Oh, here it is. Maybe I was planning on using the red. I've got another whole spool of that. Let's take a look. I don't have enough of this vintage though to use it. Let's take it, see if I do. Oh yeah, I do. There is plenty of the red. So I think I like the green too, but we're gonna go with the red because that's what I have plenty of. And it will look good as well. Because the red in the chair and on the tree. Okay. Can never have enough rickrack, you guys. I go through this stuff like crazy, and I love the vintage rickrack the best, but I can't always get that. I always am watching eBay for good deals on it. That's where I find my best deals on it, honestly. And sometimes when I do a live, not me, but when I go to a live sale, online. If a seller has the vintage, I'll purchase it. But honestly, I usually get it at a better price on eBay. And then if I'm lucky, every now and again, I'll find it at my favorite thrift store. But not very often. I think everybody knows the value of rickrack nowadays or something, because you just don't see it as much as you used to. The older variety anyway. You can go to Hobby Lobby and buy the new stuff, but there's a difference. You can feel the syntheticness in the new stuff, where this is, you can tell, 100% cotton. Alright, let me put the fabric tack down the middle here. Not the middle, the edge. I hope you guys, if you have one of these cookbooks in your cabinet or something like that, I know they're fun cookbooks too, but hopefully you will want to make one of these journals for yourself. They're so stinking cute, and I found some fun things to use for dangles that will, I feel like, hit the vibe perfect. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to do the fabric ties sometime this weekend and get those all done, and then I have some videos I'm going to film, so I don't know that I'll get more than that done, but besides the videos of the embellishments I'm wanting to put out this week, and then the fabric ties on these. But then my next steps that I can show you when I do share where I'm at is I'm going to start pulling signature pages, and then obviously I will be making a detachable tassel for these. I want those to be really epic, just because, you know, it's Christmas. I always think over the top at Christmas time, and yeah. And I would love to hear feedback on, do you guys like, so like these are the perfect examples of, personally I would be using this like a December date. So as such, would you, if you were purchasing one of these journals, would you want your embellishments to be in a separate, like you'd have your journal, the signature sewed in, the fabric tie, the detachable tassel, very pretty, maybe some pockets and some trims on the edge, but the actual embellishments that you put in the journal, do you like the idea of those being on the side so you can put them where you want? That way, if there's a day you do a lot of journaling, you can like maybe not have as many embellishments on that day, and on days when there's not as much journaling to do, you can maybe put more embellishments on those pages, or bigger embellishments, and you kind of get to pick and choose where those go. Or do you like a journal that's fully dressed? I would really love to know, because I know a lot of journal makers are doing it both ways. Like some people are putting it on the side and you get to decide where everything goes in your journal, and other people, you know, go ahead and just dress it. And in the past, I've always dressed my journals. On the Sunbonnet Susie series, I actually put it on the side because I'd seen a lot of journal makers doing that. And I mean, I like to have a little bit more direction in how I do my journals that way too. And so I thought, well, maybe that's how I should be doing mine. But I would love the feedback. So if you wanted to leave me a comment, you don't have to, but if you wanted to leave me a comment and let me know your preference, it might give me some insight into what people would prefer. Oh, glue is sticking to me. I can't take it. Okay, there's that one. And now let's get this one glued on. How cute is this, you guys? So much fun. I love making journals. It's just, I'm so grateful for this hobby and for this outlet. It's so much fun. there's that. And this is definitely one of my favorite parts of making journals, is this part right here. Okay, so here's where we're at with it. Again, like this is, I'm not going to move this around too much. I'm going to let it sit here overnight and dry. But you can see that was not hard at all, and we didn't have to cut anything off because the little holes for that spiral bound edge is covered up with the material and the trim. But I just think the graphics in these are so beautiful, and there'll be images I'll be able to use from the book pages, and I will include some book pages in the journal, but then a lot of these will not. Like there'll be lots of scrapbook paper, lots of different music paper from Christmas time, some idea book pages, things like that. These are meant to be December dailies. That's how I'm envisioning these from my journal series that I'm doing with these. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any of these in your kitchen, up in your cabinets, especially like people that collect recipe books. I used to do that, and I had, every year they'd come out with a new Gooseberry Patch and I had to have it, and I was lucky enough to get all those. I still have them, and I'm not using those. I bought these off eBay because I didn't want to use mine. But let me know if you're going to use one of yours and make it into a Christmas journal. I think that would be really fun, and I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to keep it cute, keep it crafty, and keep making something out of nothing. Bye!